Hello, good evening. It works, yes. Okay, I'm extremely glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me for this beautiful event. I'm pleased to be here for mainly three reasons. First, I like people, especially those from Association of Management of Slovenia, especially young and international. I like the topic. And the third reason is a little bit marketing, 5 seconds for marketing. Why? Because Gorenje is a company in a mature industry, home appliances, but on the other side, we do produce per day 15,000 units. And you will not believe it, we need to sell them. And that's why 5 seconds just to remind you, once you are equipping new equipment, beautiful appliances, don't you think only about Miele, Electrolux, Whirlpool, Bosch, buy Gorenje. So that's my PR, and I will stop here because Ursha, my colleague from PR, was very nice to present some slides. I will not present Gorenje right now because it will be presented later on, and you will see that Gorenje is really a changing company. It's extremely internationalized. It's, yes, together with Krka, and last year after Krka, #2 exporter, but the biggest Slovenian industrial company. We are proud to be among the top Slovenian multinational, multicultural company as well. But my story starts in 1986 when I joined Gorenje as a deputy export director. Then I became also export director of the group, and I moved to France. At the age of 35, I decided to go, and of course it was a beautiful challenge for me. I was invited to become managing director of our French subsidiary in Paris. Okay, I love Paris, I speak French from the very beginning and so on. It was easy for me, but it was not so obvious. But for me it was. Why? First of all, I was sure that in such an international company like Gorenje was from the very beginning. On that time, we used to have 20 companies abroad. Right now we are having 66 different subsidiaries abroad. For me, making a kind of career, being the part of huge international Gorenje, it's a must to go outside and to learn the world from outside perspective as well. I was convinced I need to go. Why? Because I need to learn something from the bigger market than Slovenia. And Slovenia is a beautiful country, but composed of such a small number of inhabitants, 2 million people only, and I went to France. And at that time, and even today, France is #2 after Germany. And so I decided to go to France for the size of the market and being closer to the end consumer. Because Gorenje is not only industrial company, it's not only multinational, it's one of the rare, let's say, Slovenian companies that are selling also products to the end consumer. It is not just producing different parts and then to be in business to business. It's business to the end consumer. That's why I decided for France. And the second reason why I was extremely glad to accept this very proposal of the management of those days was that I was sure that I need to be not only specialist in sales and marketing, what I used to be, but to learn a little bit other functions as well. And working in a smaller size company like Gorenje France on that time, I was able to concentrate not only in sales and marketing and communication, but to learn about IT and finance and HR and logistics, supply chain, planning, and so on and so on. Out of Slovenian management, it were just two of us, my colleague Joško Vočemilo and myself. I was responsible as managing director for commercial activities and Joško Vočemilo for mainly, let's say, administration and financial issues. So these were the main two reasons why I was extremely glad to accept this proposal. But what was the real challenge and what I experienced there was not only this. It was about the culture and the people, because I lived there for 5 years. It was a lot about business that I learned there. And it was also my MBA that I finished on one of the top European schools of management, École Supérieure de Commerce in Paris. And I was really glad to be able to finalize this as well during my 5 years staying in France. Let's go to the first point now, talking about people and culture and so on. One could argue that, okay, it's all the same just being in export companies and traveling to China, to Japan, to UK, to France, Germany, and so on, because we are all international, and you are also international. But I can assure you it is not the same. going there where your Samsonite is. It is all about staying there, living their culture, opening the bank account, having a lunch, and the evening with the friends, going to the sports, to the theater, and going with children to the school, experience the story of internal communication, and so on and so on. So this was extremely important experience. By the way, one interesting story. I had a friend on that time, and I explained him that we had in Slovenia a beautiful expression. It says that somebody da igra francoza. Razumete to, no? You understand that somebody acts as a Frenchman. And I explained all the context of this beautiful anecdote, and he said to me, okay, but it exists also in French, but we say that somebody acts Englishman. So that's a little bit about ignorance à la française, okay? So this was very, very typical. It's all about people that I learned there. About business, my extraordinary experience was, and that's my second story I would like to share with you, when I took the TGV, you know, train à grande vitesse, you know, to Saint-Étienne. I was there to meet one of the biggest retailers. And of course, those buyers, acheteurs, they were trained to destabilize, let's say, the producer in order to reduce the prices. And of course, the guy was sitting like this and said, Monsieur Bobinac, okay, we just have 5 minutes only, and you have 5 minutes to convince me why should I buy Gorenje and not Electrolux and Miele and Bosch and Siemens and so on and so on. And you know, this is a kind of experience, it's not obvious to have this kind of discussion here in Slovenia, I can imagine. But these guys were extremely professional. And of course, my reaction was the following. And I said, not 5 minutes, monsieur, 4 minutes. So you are getting additional 1 minute I'm offering to you. But the reason why Gorenje is the best, because we are making German quality, Mediterranean design, and we add to that our Slavic, Balkanic soul and improvisation, because you will need this improvisation as well, because you'll never order on time. He started to laugh. He said, oh, it's not, c'est pas mal. And he bought it, you know. He bought it. So in a way, this is the French style of doing the business. You cannot be destabilized. You need to be different. You need to be aggressive in a way, but you need to be quick and proactive. Okay, and last but not least, I finished my MBA there. I'm really proud to have beautiful contacts. I met a lot of interesting people, my colleagues from different companies that are working right now all around the globe. This is one of the oldest, let's say, school, Grande École of France. By the way, in France, university, it's not very important, because university is universal, and it's for everybody, and it's not a good school. The good school, they are Grande École, you know, and it's a private school, and you need to pay for that. And that's why for French people, it's extremely important to finish their own school. And that's why I went there, and after finishing their school, it was extremely, extremely easy for me to make this business. Much, much easier. They are specific, they are nice, they are smart, but they understand just French. The key to the French market is French, and the key to the French market is understanding French heart and French culture, wine and food. Not only gourmand, but being gourmet, understanding the beauty of the kitchen, and so on and so on. And last but not least, through that I'm managing the time, okay? 1 minute more. I went back at the year of 1998, first as a vice president for the group, responsible for sales and marketing. And later on, 5 years later, in 2003, I became the CEO of the Gorenje Group. That is, as you have seen, internationalized the most. We are extremely big now. We have a lot of interesting people all around the globe, and so on and so on. But I cannot imagine that I could be the CEO or even vice president of sales and marketing of such a multinational, multicultural company like Gorenje without this experience abroad. My main message is really the following. Take the challenge. Use this experience. Go outside. Those who are young, 30 to 40 years, go outside. It's not enough to just to travel with your Samsonite and to be exporter, you know. You need to live there. Really the last sentence from my side would be the following. I really recall when I was asking my colleague from Australia at the time, Martin Puch, who was managing director from our Sydney office, I said, what do you think, Martin,